Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. And in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a slap tool where when you're in range of a person and you left click on them, then they get slapped just like that. If you're too far, then it won't slap. But yeah, so if I click up from over here, it's not going to slap, but if I get closer, then they get slapped. And then you can also customize the power behind the slap. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, to start, we're going to make a tool in starter pack. We're going to name it slap. I'm going to grab a slap hand from the toolbox. So I'm just going to use this tool grip editor we're going to name it handle. And then we're going to use tool grip editor to plug in to customize how we're holding it. So let's put it inside the tool, click on the slap, edit tool grip, and now you can rotate it and do whatever you want. Okay, so mine's going to look like this. And then once you're done with that, you can just close out the tool grip editor and keep the handle in there. And then yeah. Now what we're going to do is make a local script inside of the slap tool, and in replicated storage, go ahead and make a folder, name it remotes. Inside the folder, make a remote event. We're going to name it slap event. Okay, so in the local script, what you're going to want to do is just grab the following variables. So we're going to grab the tool, which is the script's parent. We're going to grab the player, which is just the local player. We're going to grab our mouse, which is just player get mouse. All right, now we're going to grab replicated storage. We're going to grab the remotes in replicated storage, which is just the remotes folder, and then we're going to grab the slap event. All right, after that, now we're going to make a max distance variable, and this is how far the player can be to slap the person. So as long as they're within a magnitude of 8 from the player they're trying to slap, then it'll go through. So now what we're going to do is check when the tool is activated, and pretty much what this means is when the tool is left clicked. We're going to make sure that our player's character exists and that there's a mouse target. And so what a mouse target is it's my cursor. So whenever I'm hovering over something, so as long as I'm not hovering over like nothing, so if I'm hovering over a player with my mouse, then that's gonna be a mouse target. So if I'm hovering over the base plate, that's our mouse target. So we want to make sure that they're hovering over something. Now what we're gonna do is make sure that the thing we're hovering is over is a player. So to do that, we're gonna grab the target, its parent, and we're gonna see if thing we're hovering has a human or root part inside of it. What this is doing is it's gonna grab the character. So if the thing we're hovering, the part we're hovering, its parent has a human root part, then that means it's a character. And so what we're doing is, if this exists, so if it does have a human root part, we're going to set hit character equal to the mouse target parent, and if not, then we're going to set hit character to nil. So this is basically just a if statement, but in one line. Now we're going to check if hit character exists. What we're going to do is grab the distance between our character's human or root part position minus the hit character's human root part position. And so what this does is just So what this does is it checks the distance between our character and the character we're trying to hit's character. And then all we're gonna do is check if the distance between us is less than or equal to max distance. That means that we're in distance, so that means we can slap, so we're gonna fire the server. And we're also gonna have server checks just to avoid exploitation. All right, so that's it for this. Now what you're gonna want to do is head over to server script service. You can make a script, and we're gonna name it slap control server. Okay, once again, we're gonna grab the replicated storage. We're gonna grab the remotes folder. We're gonna grab the slap remote. All right, now we're gonna do is assign some variables. This is gonna be the strength of the slap. So the push strength is how hard they get pushed back. I'm gonna make it 80. And then we have a min angular velocity, and this is just so there's some ragdoll. As you can see, when I slapped them in the beginning of the video, kind of fly at an angle, and so this is just to add more of like a slap effect. So what I'm gonna do is I make the minimum angular velocity 70 and the maximum angular velocity 80. And you can experiment with the numbers, change them to how you like, and then find ones that you like. And also what you can do is make game passes or make it more of a simulator where players' slap strength increase as they do something else. So you can, instead of defining it as one variable, you can have a value inside the player that determines their strength. Okay, we're just gonna make this function now, and it's gonna be get a random with sign. We're passing take an RNG parameter. Okay, so we're gonna use this function in a second, but what it's gonna do is just gonna get a random number within this RNG, and it's going to base it off of our minimum and maximum angular velocity, and then it's going to return either 1 or -1, and that's just times our random number, and that's just to help make it a more of a random slap, kind of like so they get pushed back more randomly, and it's just to make it look better. And now what we're going to do is make the function to fling a player, and this is what happens when they get slapped. So it's going to take two parameters, the character hit and the player hit. So the person that does the hitting is going to be this person. The person that gets hit is going to be this person. So we're gonna check if character hit and our character hit has a human root part. What we're gonna do is grab the human root part of the character hit, and now we're gonna grab the human root part of the player hit. And make sure that the player hits has a character, and if they do, then we're gonna grab their human root part. And if they don't have a character, then we're gonna set it to nil. So again, it's just like a simplified if statement. And so if not hit a human root part, then we're gonna return it. Just so the code doesn't run and we don't get an error. Now what we're gonna do is grab a random org equals random.new. So what we're gonna have to do in order to actually make them get flung, we have to set their the character hits network owner to the server, or we can just set it to nil. And this is just because if it's set to the player, then when we fling them, they won't move. So what we're gonna do is grab the original network owner, which is just the player that got hit. So we're gonna do get player from character hit, and then we're gonna do pcall. So what we're gonna do is set the character hits network owner to nil, and what this does just allows the server to manipulate the human network part. So if not success, then we're gonna warn error message and return. So now what we're gonna do is grab the direction that the person that hit is looking, so that they get flung in that direction. The hitter human root part .cframe .look vector, and that's just where they're looking. And then the person that got hit, what we're gonna do is change their assembly linear velocity so that they get pushed back, and direction times push strength. And push strength again is just what we signed here. So they're gonna get pushed back in the direction times the push strength. And so if I were to run this, they would get pushed back, but they wouldn't ragdoll at all, and they wouldn't fall over, which is why we have the angular velocity. So we're gonna add that right now. Now what we're gonna do is make a random angular velocity variable, and it's gonna be a vector 3. So it's gonna have three random numbers, and you're just gonna write this 3 times so that the x, y, z are all random. So then you have a random angular velocity, and now what you're gonna do is make the assembler angular velocity equal to this random. So now what they're gonna do is they're gonna get pushed back at random angles. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait around 2 seconds, reassign the network owner because we're already done with the fling. And this is just because if the network owner is still nil, then there's gonna be a delay when the player walks. So you're gonna do is just make sure that the human root part's network owner is set back to the original owner. Okay, and that's it for this function. We're almost done. Now what we're gonna do is when the slap remote is fired to the server, what we're gonna do is, again, we're gonna grab the player that fires it and the character that gets hit. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna validate the slap on the server, and this is just to avoid exploitation. And so what we're gonna do is inside the slap control server, go to make a module script. Name the module script validate slap. And this is just so the slap is validated on the server, and again, exploiters can't just slap whoever they want. And then inside the validate slap, make another module script and name this is path clear. And this is just so people can't click other characters through walls and stuff. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna fire array from the character to the other character and make sure that nothing's in between them. So we're gonna start with the is path clear. It's just a quick function. So make it local function is path clear, and we're gonna return is path clear. So it's gonna take a origin. So this is where be the player that slaps. It's gonna go to the target, and then it's gonna have a filter, and that's just so we don't hit our own character and stuff. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fire array. So we're gonna make a new raycast param. So the filter descendant instance is gonna be equal to the filter. We're gonna have to exclude them. Now we're gonna grab the direction that the raycast is fired. That's just gonna be the target minus the origin.unit. Now we're just gonna fire the ray. That's it. So it's gonna be from the origin to the direction times the distance between target minus origin dot magnitude. And then we're gonna have to filter the ray. And then what we're gonna do is return not raycast result. So if there is something in between them, then it's gonna return false, which means that the path isn't clear. But if there isn't, then it's gonna return true, meaning the path is clear. So that's it for this function. And you can delete. Make sure in the return you delete the parentheses. So go ahead and require the is path clear. And now what we're gonna do is make a validate slap function. It's gonna take in the player that hits, and then the character of the player that gets hit. So we're gonna grab the player that does the hitting's character. We'll check and make sure that both characters exist. Now what we're gonna do is grab both human root parts. And so if both human root parts exist, we're gonna grab the distance between the human root parts on the server, like we did on the client. But we just want to double check it to make sure that exploiters don't manipulate their position. So again, we're gonna grab the magnitude between both human root parts, and if the distance, we're gonna make the max distance variable again, and we're gonna make it 8. So again, if distance is greater than max distance, then we're gonna return false, sorry, meaning that the slap is not validated. Okay, but let's just say it is less than the max distance, meaning that that the player is within distance. What we're gonna do is check if the path is clear between the two players. So we're gonna check if the path is clear between our first human root part. So this is gonna be the origin. The target's gonna be the second human root part, the player that gets hit. And then the filter is gonna have to be both characters, because we're not trying to see if they hit each other. We're trying to see if it hits something in between. And we're gonna return true, meaning the path is clear. I'm sorry. And then if this doesn't pass, then we're just gonna return false. And then we're gonna have to return validate slap. That's it for the validation. So now go back to the server script. What we're gonna do is we're gonna we have to require it. I'm sorry. Go up here and require the validate slap. So local validate slap is equal to acquire script.validate slap. So if validate slap, we have to pass in the player here and then the hit character. Then what we're gonna do is fling the player that gets hit, and we're gonna pass in again just both of those. And then if the slap isn't validated, or warn slap not validated. And that's it for the script. All right, so now what we're gonna do is just to test it out, we're gonna go into model. We're gonna go to avatar, rig builder, and then I'm just gonna build a block avatar just to test it on. And that's it, play. I have to unanchor it, I'm sorry. Make sure that your handle's unanchored. All right, go ahead and play. Okay, so now when I left click on him, so if I'm all the way back here and I click him, it's not gonna do anything. But if I come closer, oh, I misspelled magnitude, I'm sorry. Magnitude, here it is, sorry. Magnitude, there you go. Go ahead and left click on him. You'll see that if I'm too far, it's not gonna slap him, but if I get close enough, then it's gonna slap him. And then you can also just change the power. So I want to make the push strength like 500, and they're gonna get flung really, really far. Let me show you. Like that, all the way over there. And again, like I said, you can just make it so players buy game passes, or it's a simulator where let's just say you rebirth and then you have a stronger slap. If you want a tutorial on how to do that, how to make a simulator like a slap simulator, then let me know in the comments. So then yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.